If you've been doing basic dip mayonnaise and you are ready to up your nail game a little bit, then this one's going to be for you. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. Today we are doing some really easy color blocking that you don't need to use tape with, and then I'm going to show you how to add some simple stamping to really add a pop to your mani. I always have builder gel or rubber base down on my natural nails, so I don't need to build an apex or do any clear as my base for my dip manis, but if you don't do rubber base or you don't do builder gel, you can start off with 1 to 2 dips of clear as your base. People often find that it helps your manis adhere better and last longer. I'm going to jump right in with doing the colors since I already have my rubber base down. I'm starting off with this gorgeous pink called Awesome Blossom, and then I'm going to use a purple shimmer called Do You Want Some Fries with That Shake? And then the glitter is called For the Love of All Things Holy. These are from OG Dip Powder. They're from a collection where people got to suggest names based on funny sayings. So there's some really wild names in this collection that I absolutely am here for. I'm all about like the fun names. I'm doing 2 dips of the pink shimmer on my thumb and then 1.5 on my pointer. The reason that I'm doing only 1.5 dips, and what I mean by that is since I'm going to be doing a color block on half the nail, when I use a glitter like this, you don't have to be super precise. So if you're using a finer glitter that you don't need it to be like exactly perfectly even, your line doesn't have to be perfectly straight, since we're gonna do some stamping over it, I like to just go in with the first coat on the entire nail and then the second coat only covering half the nail, and then I leave room for the other half of the glitter, for the other half of the nail to have glitter on it. And that works really well when you're using really a fine glitter, a chunky glitter, anything that you want to do a color block that doesn't need to be super perfectly straight. It's a really great option to do, and you're not going to get your nails too thick if you only do 1 dip of the color on the whole nail and then the second dip over half the nail. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I try to keep it as simple as possible and give you guys the easiest way to do manis, because let's be honest, we're all busy people, and if I can figure out a way to do something a little bit easier, I'm sure as heck gonna try to do it and figure it out and share it with all of you. Once I get all of my solid color dips down, I like to get those done first, either my solids or my shimmers, to make sure that I'm not going to contaminate my nails with the glitter. I know some people go like by finger, but I am, go like thumb to pinky. I am way too messy of a dipper to do that. I often like to apply the clear dip powder over top of any of my solid or shimmer nails that are going to stay just the solid or shimmer. But in this one, I was like, okay, Nicole, you can do this. Since we're going to do a color block on 2 nails, you can do this and not get glitter everywhere. So I was trying to be really careful and not get any of this fine glitter on my other nails. No matter what kind of glitter that I'm using, I like to put a piece of washi tape on one of the fingers of my opposite hand and then press down the glitters after each layer. So that helps the glitters to really lay flat. Even when I'm doing this fine glitter, like the one that I'm using, I just like to make sure they lay as flat as possible so that my nails don't get any thicker. And when you're adding the glitter on the sides for that other half of the color block, all you need to do is apply your dip base onto the side that you didn't have any powder, any of the shimmer powder on. And again, I don't try to be super exact with it. Like you can see my line, it's like decently straight, but it's not crazy straight or anything, because I knew that I was going to stamp over it. And if you're using a glitter that's similar colors to what the color block is, so like this glitter has like pink and purple in it, I knew that I could get away with the lines not being perfectly straight since I'm adding the stamping over it. Whenever you're using a fine glitter, and I do this regardless actually of the kind of glitter that I'm using, I like to pour it into a little dip cup liner and shake the glitter up so that the pieces that I want come up to the top. This works whether using fine glitters, chunky glitters, medium glitters. It works with flakes, it works with foils. This is like my ride or die go-to method for applying anything that's not a solid or a shimmer. I pour it into a little dip cup. If you don't have the dip cups, you can also use a cupcake liner. Those work really well too. You just have to be really careful that you don't knock them over. I was very, very clumsy when I used to use cupcake liners, and I would knock them over all the time. Now, I'm still pretty clumsy and knock over a lot of things, but I knock them over less using the dip cups because they're a little bit heavier. Well, actually, they're a lot heavier compared to just using like a little thin cupcake liner. Once I finish applying all my glitter down, then I like to go in with clear dip powder. Now I have separate clears, so if you're messy like me, you might want to use separate clears for solids, for shimmers, glitters. I keep 3 of them. I have one for solids, one for shimmers, and then one for glitters that includes like flakes, foils, any of that. Since I tend to make a mess, I don't want to get any shimmers or any glitters into my solid clear dip powder. So if you don't want to buy 3 separate dip powders for the clear, you can just get some jars on Amazon and then separate them like that into your different clears. Using clear dip powder over all of my nails, no matter what kind of dip powder it is, whether it's a solid, shimmer, flake, foil, glitter, whatever, that is an absolute must for me. I know everybody doesn't do this, but for me, using the clear dip powder has really been a game changer because then when I go to file and shape and buff, I'm not messing with my color. So I'm not messing with my solids to make like the color look a little funky, and I'm not messing with my glitters that you would accidentally file down some of the glitter and make it look silver. Once I finish applying all my clear, I make sure that I brush it off really, really well. I don't want my nails to have to be any thicker than they already are. And then I like to go in with my activator, and I am very generous with activator after I apply the clear. Then once your activator hardens your dips, you can do your filing and buffing and shaping, which I did all of that off camera. Then I wiped my nails with isopropyl alcohol so we can get right into the stamping. So I picked this adorable stamp from Maniology. I wanted like a very whimsical, sweet, like jumping into spring Mani. I am just over the cold weather and I just wanted to jump right into spring with these cute like clouds and stars and hearts design. I wanted to do that on the 2 nails that I did the color block. So if you do a color block like I did and you didn't want to use any tape, you want it to be, it didn't have to be perfect, stamping is a great way to kind of hide if any of your color blocking isn't looking perfect because you're more focused on the stamp than you are if your line's perfectly straight or not for the color blocking. So the first stamp that I did went really, really well. And then when I was trying to do the second one, because I wanted one for my pointer and one for my ring, I don't know what my fingers were doing, okay? The first stamp literally went exactly right. The second one, I think I redid it like maybe 8 times till I got it to pick up again. Sometimes when you're stamping, I don't know, maybe this is just me. My hands just like don't want to do the right thing. Even though I literally picked up the first image on the first try with absolutely no problems, I do this. Like, I don't know if I'm so tired because I do all my stamping at the end of my manis and I do my manis at night. So I just tend to like be really tired when I'm doing any of my nail art, which is often why I show you all in these videos how I make such a mess. But I don't give up. Okay, that is one of the best things about stamping is you just don't put it on your nail if it doesn't look right. So you just take some acetone on a cotton ball, wipe off the stamping plate, and then you let it dry for a minute, and then you can go in and get your stamp to be exactly how you want it to be before you apply it to your nail. I'm going to tell you all the things that I was doing wrong when I kept doing it over and over. I was either scraping too hard or too soft. A couple of times I scraped too hard and I didn't pick enough of the stamp up and the images were like kind of blank, and you can see that the images are pretty filled in. You know, the hearts are filled in, the clouds are filled in, the stars are. They're not like open images. That's what I did wrong a bunch of times. And then I didn't scrape off enough a couple of times and it ended up really streaky. But I persevered. That is what's so much fun about doing stamping nail art. You just have to keep practicing. And even though I've been doing it for a couple years, I still make mistakes. It's okay. You know, we all do. We're doing our nails at home. This is DIY. It's supposed to be fun too. You do not have to use any gels for stamping either if you do not want to. I have been using sticky base a lot. So what you want to do, once you get your images picked up, you want to let them dry for a few minutes because we're basically treating this like a reverse stamp just because it's a lot easier and it's less pressure on you. So you let your stamp images dry for a few minutes. Then you want to take your sticky base, apply it over your entire nail, and then wait until it gets tacky. When it's tacky, that's when you're going to want to take your stamper and then push it down into your nail. So you basically like squish it slash roll it onto your nail. If you wait until the sticky base is too dry, then the image is not going to apply. And if you do it when it's too wet, it's going to smear. I like to touch part of my nail. It should feel tacky. It should not feel wet. Like the polish can just move too much, but it should not feel dry as if, the polish didn't move at all because it was totally dry. So if you get to that nice tackiness, then you're going to be able to smush your stamp right on your nail. And anything that gets on your skin, you can just take some acetone or non-acetone polish remover, just wipe around your skin. Once that stamp is totally dry, then you can go over with a no smudge top coat. And then I like to follow up with a super shiny top coat. And I use dip liquids to do my dip top coating on my other nails just because I absolutely love dip top coat. Now, if you're sitting here, you're like, Nicole, I am so not ready to do stamping yet. I still need more help with my dip nails. Make sure you check out the first pinned comment. It has a link to my Dip Nails 101, the ultimate guide to dipping your nails at home. And if you are ready for more stamping, then make sure you check out this next video. I will teach you some more fun stamping. Thanks for joining me today, Nail Crew.